You're saying that the response of the Israelis right now is unacceptable. You're calling it a massacre. What would be a reasonable response?
It's ethnic cleansing.
So what would be a reasonable response?
You know, like we have been suffering, have been subjected to the Israeli occupation, brutality and oppression since nearly...
Answer the question. Answer. What would be a proportionate response to the massacre of 1,200 people? Just answer. Wafa.
We here in Gaza.
Now she's like, I have to go back to all of my database of propaganda. I have to say everything I know. 75 years, ethnic cleansing, genocide, humanitarian aid crisis, kids, women. Yalla, answer. How you guys doing? This is official Sahar TV, and today we're going to be watching a Gazan journalist, Wafa al-Hudaini, I think that's her name, giving us the reality in Gaza. What's happening there? Before we watch the video, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're about to hit 100,000 subscribers. Let's watch the video. Yalla.
Can you just give us the latest on what is going on in Gaza from your perspective as a journalist there?
Yeah, actually, the situation here is really terribly difficult. I can't tell. We are talking here about massive destruction everywhere, about massacres like is being committed by the Israeli occupation warplanes around the clock, like so many. We are talking here about nearly 2,000 Palestinian and 700 have been murdered during these airstrikes. Nearly 700 of those who got killed during these airstrikes are from the kids. And according to the Ministry of Health, they say that nearly 1,000 Palestinians are still under rubble. They are trying to rescue them and pull them out of the rubble.
Okay.
And according also to the UNRWA, they say that nearly there is 1 million Palestinians have been displaced after the Israeli airstrikes on their homes and their residential buildings.
She sure as hell doesn't look oppressed, right, guys? And then you're calling us the oppressors. Look at her religion.
And now we are talking about so many massacres is being committed here.
You use the word massacre, Wafa. The Israelis, their argument would be, look, we warn in advance when we're going to strike a building. We warn people to get out. We told people to evacuate. That deadline was on Saturday. They've extended it and extended it. There wasn't a warning from Hamas to the Israeli festival goers or people sleeping in their beds Saturday, the 7th of October, when they were attacked. As much as I think most of us are horrified, I think most right-thinking people, by any innocent civilians in Palestine, in Gaza, dying as a result of these airstrikes, is it right to call it a massacre?
In fact, you don't know, I'm not really sure if your correspondent here told you that there is no warning at all. The Israeli warplanes just target the homes and everything, the residential buildings, shops, pharmacies, schools.
But isn't that because Hamas fire weapons from those civilian apartments?
She's lying. Listen, how do we know that the IDF actually warned civilians? Because they know exactly where to place their cameras right before the bomb hits. How do you know? What are you, a psychic? Of course you're not a psychic. You're being told.
No. You know, if this is true, you can't find, like, most of the victims are from the civilians. There is no military leader among those who got killed. All of them, according to the Ministry of Health, they said that all of them are civilians.
Well, the Israelis claim they've actually managed to kill the leader, the man who masterminded the attack on the Israeli massacre. You know as well as I do that Hamas are completely and utterly embedded in the civilian, apartment blocks and hospitals and everywhere. That is how they've sought to protect themselves, by basically using the Palestinian people as a defence by putting themselves in apartment buildings, putting their weaponry in apartment buildings.
Yeah, actually, I just want to add something. You just said that there is a place is safe here in Gaza. Here in Gaza, we don't have shelters. We don't have sirens to warn us from any Israeli attack.
Who are you blaming for it? Who are you blaming for it? Are you blaming Israel, or are you blaming Hamas for not taking care of the civilians, for using you as pawns, for not building you shelters, for not making sure the civilians are protected? Who are you blaming for it? They took all the money from the international community and built tunnels with it and rockets. So if you want to blame someone, blame your Haiwan friends, your bosses.
Everyone is a direct target to the Israeli warplanes. They're targeted indiscriminately. They without warning. That's why we have the so many people who got killed. I'm just telling you that we have nearly 2,700 Palestinians, among them nearly 700, or even I think the number is rising right now because just today another massacres were committed. And
she doesn't know the definition of a massacre. A massacre is when people are on the ground, usually surrendered with their back faced or to the front, where they're just surrendering. A weapon is aimed, but bam, that's a massacre. That's not a massacre. That's an act of war. If you use this facility to conduct war from, it's a legitimate target, whether you like it or not. Check out the words she's using: massacres, apartheid, ethnic cleansing, genocide. That's what they use. They use big words to increase the volume of the actual situation that's happening, which is the war.
They told the people to move from the south to the north, but in fact they they targeted so many homes in the north as well as in the south. Yesterday, just today, just a few minutes ago, as I was talking to you, a few minutes ago, they targeted a home in Rafah, killing at least 20 Palestinians from the same family, and they are still pulling out the other family members from under their rubble.
Can I ask you?
Considered from the north, you know.
Okay, yes, so people have been told to move from the north to the south, but they're still being targeted. I understand that. Can I ask you, why you're still in Gaza City? Why have you chosen not to leave?
Why to leave? This is my homeland. If someone asks you to leave your home, are you going to leave your home?
If someone said they were going to bomb me and my family to death, well, if that's, you know, you're saying a massacre, and they told me to leave, yeah, I would leave. Yeah, I think I would.
You would leave your country if someone is going to take your.
They're not asking you to leave your country.
You out of it.
They're asking you to go to the south so that they can tackle the Hamas fighters.
Actually, this is like Israeli propaganda when they say to the people, just move from another place to another. Actually, they target everywhere here in Gaza. Okay. They just say this because they know that the media will take this, and they say that they are warning the people. So when they commit massacres, they will say, but they warned the people, and those people didn't evacuate from their homes. But in fact, they targeted, you know, like they asked the people to evacuate from the south to the north. But why north they targeted them in from the north to the south? But why they targeted like a truck and 2 cars while those people were leaving
well, again, that's, as you know, that's disputed, and the IDF claimed that was actually a booby trap bomb left by Hamas. Can I ask you, just finally, even in the wake of that massacre of Israelis on October the 7th, what to you would be a proportionate and reasonable response from the Israeli armed forces to that massacre of their nationals? What would be, you think, reasonable?
I didn't get your question. Can you say that again?
Given the massacre of 1,400 people, Israelis, women, children, the taking of hostages, 199 hostages, all of the horrific atrocities involved in that massacre by Hamas, what do you believe, as a Palestinian journalist living in Gaza City, what would be a proportionate and reasonable response from the Israelis to that?
You know what is the saddest thing here is that
no, answer my question, please.
You know, we only hear the mainstream media or the media in the West.
No, please, Wafa. Please answer my question. What you're saying that the response of the Israelis right now is unacceptable. You're calling it a massacre. What would be a reasonable response?
It's ethnic cleansing.
Okay.
Remember how I told you before? She's using big words like genocide and ethnic cleansing. She just used it.
So what would be a reasonable response?
You know, like we have been suffering, have been subjected to the Israeli occupation, brutality and oppression since nearly...
Answer the question. Answer. What would be a proportionate response to the massacre of 1,200 people? Just answer. Wafa.
75
so what
years.
Would be a reasonable response?
And even we have 5,000 Palestinians are still in the Israeli occupation jail. We have 170 Palestinian kids. They are still in the Israeli jails. We have nearly 40 Palestinian women inside the Israeli jails.
Wafa, you're a journalist. You're a journalist.
Wafa, ya kapara alaych, please, answer the question, ya haywan, answer the question. Yalla, it's a simple answer. What would you do?
I'm a journalist. I'm asking you, from the perspective as a Palestinian woman living in Gaza City, what would be, if you think the Israeli response is unreasonable, disproportionate, it's wrong, what would be the right, proportionate, reasonable response to 1,400 of your people being massacred? What would be acceptable to you for them to do, other than say, oh, well, never mind, we'll just carry on as usual, which is clearly not going to happen. One final chance. What would be the reasonable response?
Yeah, you are just saying that we are journalists, and I'm a Palestinian journalist, yes, living here under this harsh condition.
You're just not going to answer. Do you not think that's a reasonable question to ask you?
Listen, it's the question. I mean, like, you didn't know that they committed, like, since we here in Gaza.
Now she's like, I have to go back to all of my database of propaganda. I have to say everything I know. 75 years, ethnic cleansing, genocide, humanitarian aid crisis, kids, women. Yalla, answer.
Since nearly 17 years.
I do know that.
We have been the Israel.
Stop telling me what I don't know and answer the question.
Yes.
Why is that such a difficult question to answer?
Sorry, I'm answering your questions here because, you know, you just look to the Israeli side and you
I'm not looking at just the Israeli side.
What is happening.
I'm asking you a reasonable question. What's a proportionate, reasonable response to that massacre?
You know, like, listen, I'm just reporting what I see as a journalist from here, from Gaza. I saw that the Palestinian people are suffering in a daily basis because of the Israeli brutality against them. The occupation...
And because of Hamas's brutality.
Listen, the Israeli occupation, they are using phosphorus bombs. Do you know that? They are using the phosphorus
I asked an
bombs.
Israeli person about that only last week.
Yeah, they are using internationally banned weapons.
Again, still not an answer to my question. Should we give up? Should we just give up? You're not going to answer the question. We'll have to leave it.
It is a collective punishment. What is happening?
No, hold on. Let her spend the propaganda. Wait for a second. Let's give her.
It's
collective punishment. So what would be the correct response?
But look at the very beginning when who started this? We were living, like, I'm a Palestinian refugee. I used to live in...
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to leave it there. Because if any conversation in this, it ends up going back to, let's go back 1,000 years. Wafa Al-Udaini, Wafa, I'm so sorry. We took a long time to get you on the line. While we're waiting to speak to you, we've got less time. If you're not going to answer my question, then we'll have to leave it. I do appreciate you joining us. Thank you for joining us.
Oppressed by her own religion. Look how she was dressed. She seemed a very credible, very believable person to take her word for the genocide in Gaza and the ethnic cleansing in Gaza and the massacres in Gaza. Ay. Guys, it's a war. In war, people die. It's horrific. It's horrendous. You don't want this to happen. Release the hostages and make Hamas surrender. That's all. That's very simple to make this to stop. And she would not answer the question. It was very obvious she wouldn't answer the question. Because if she does, Hamas tells her, Wafa, we're going to turn you into Alafa. I am Majnoon Albi. Tov, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to support me financially, you can do so through Buy Me Coffee and Patreon down in the links below. I'll see you again next time. Yalla bye.